Alright everybody, Baron here, so welcome back to Star Wars Battlefront 2. So, I'm still in Los Angeles, California, and here, now that EA Play is over, I'm at E3. So, I've got a question for you guys. Well, I guess I did in the last one. But I want to hear back from you. Oh my god. There's some echo in this I'm in this weird late 80s, early 90s themed hotel room. It's one of the few that I could find that was still available for E3, because this E3 has been nuts. But anyway, let's first address what the content of this video will be, and that will be focusing on the Super Battle Droids, or the B2 Battle Droids, which are the big silver clunkers who have, watch out for those wrist rockets, and they've got lasers, which were the two abilities that we saw in the current pre-alpha build were wrist rockets and this cooldown effect, which allowed you to fire longer without having to overheat. Anyway, so I'm going to be addressing a lot of things, but my question for you guys is, what are the games that you're looking forward to most at E3? Anything you want me to check out while I'm on the show floor, anything like that? Because while you're seeing this, I will have a day and a half left of E3, and I'd love to check out, what you guys are having me look at, or what would be fun for the channel. But on the other channel, I put up, oh man, Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is probably Star Wars Battlefront 2, Sea of Thieves, Call of Duty World War II. What was the other one? What? Man, there was another one that I was really looking forward to checking out at E3. And I've gotten to check out most of the things. But anyway, I put up a video on Sea of Thieves on the other channel, and I'm pretty sure that game is gorgeous. I think it's probably the best game at E3, personally. Although I haven't gotten my hands on COD World War II just yet, but I'm working on it. Who's excited for that? I want to see how it plays, but from what I've heard, because it was shown off yesterday, it looks pretty good. But we'll see, right? Anyway, so yeah, Sea of Thieves is going up on the other channel, but I got to play a lot of Battlefield in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Footage will be coming out over the coming days, weeks, months, etc. I'm in a pretty good position to, be a point of reference for you guys and showing what's up, what's coming out, I'm very fortunate you guys have helped me become an EA game changer, so that means I get help in the process of Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefield and possibly other EA games in the future. Working on getting involved with other programs as well, so it's just fun all around. So anyway, I was asking what you wanted to see. Most of the comments in the last video were to check out B2 Battle Droids, Super Battle Droids. So we're going to be going over some of the comments. So Tom Peters was saying, where are those Droidica? And I'm thinking that Droidica, or Super Battle, Droidicas, right? Super Battle Droidicas. The rollers, baby. B2 Battle Droids. Man, there's a lot of names that kind of run amongst. But anyway, Droidicas I think are going to come in the first free DLC. Now, all the DLCs are free. Their season pass is totally free. Everyone's going to get it. They've kind of changed their monetization model, which is good because it's going to keep the player base from fragmenting. Because in the past, EA's had this experience, with many Battlefield games, many Battlefront games, a lot of games. They've learned that, hey, every time you do paid DLC, there's some people who are not going to buy it or can't buy it. As a result, the player base will fragment. You can see things like that in War Thunder even. There's this fear that if they put out boats, because people don't want to call them ships because they're too small, that there will be this fragmentation of the player base even further because you have so many game modes already. You've got arcade, realistic for tanks and planes, and then there's occasional sim battles. So, there would be more fragmentation of a player base, right? There's many ways in which games' player bases can be fragmented. And by eliminating that, I think it increases the longevity of the game. Because if you were to hop into a game, like a good example, if you were to hop into a game and you could only play some maps and not others, and everybody was playing, you bought the new maps, but not that many people were playing them, you'd be like, I would get kind of bored, and like, why am I buying stuff if there's not as many people to play with? or, you know, basically, it's a good way to elongate the life of the game. Now, but if you look at it, it seems to me that there will be a new Battlefront probably every 2 years. There's going to be, I'm guessing, there's going to be a new Battlefield every 2 years. This is just me theorizing, just by judging on previous releases, right? There's, you know, I think they've kind of shown that in the timeliness of their releases, right? So I'm guessing that's kind of going to be the schedule here on out. It could occasionally change, but I think that's probably going to be typified. Now, that's not being a part of a game change or whatever. Like, that's just looking at, you know, the history of things. You can learn things from researching the history, right? And I think we're going to get another Star Wars Battlefront game 2 years from now. Now, in the comments, a lot of people were saying that they'd love to see 40 versus 40, what like Hiruko was saying, and you know, in Galactic Conquest, like 40 bigger battles, 40 versus 40, Galactic Conquest, maybe the possibility of actually landing in a capital ship and fighting it out, just like everybody loves so much about the old Star Wars Battlefront games. Like, that was a really, really fun and innovative feature, and it really added, you know, kind of tactical and strategic depth to the game. A lot of different ways. Like, you want to destroy the ship from outside using starfighters? Sure. You want to jump inside, board it, and, you know, destroy key components? You can do that too. And it would be really fun to see a developer like DICE in the modern age approach that question of how can you create those type of moments in battles and not just have to go back to that nostalgic factor of what we used to see in the old Star Wars Battlefronts, right? So, pretty much, I think it's safe to say that Droidicas are coming, and the Kashyyyk map, I'm pretty sure Wookiees are coming, right? And obviously we're going to find out more stuff between now, aka June, E3 era of June, and then the November release date. It's interesting that Call of Duty is going to come out a week before Star Wars Battlefront. I wonder how that's going to affect sales. I don't think there's too much. This is a question for you guys. Like, how many of you play both or tend to gravitate towards one over the other? I wonder how that will impact things. And then another thing was, the one guy was talking about, we're going to address a totally different thing, and that's the beauty of this, is we get an ADD as we so choose. The one guy was saying why cross-era heroes and weapons isn't a good idea. First, he's saying it breaks immersion. It's similar to helmetless stormtroopers in the first Star Wars Battlefront, except it is even worse. It's also about consistency and continuity. If you see clones and droids, you're in the Clone Wars. Suddenly you see someone like Rey or Han Solo and it just doesn't fit. And I'd say that's pretty true. He wrote quite a few words on it, and he had a few 3 key points. Let's kind of summarize it. Cross-era play destroys authenticity and continuity, as he was saying. Weapons in heroes being in their own era provides more diverse gameplay and opportunities and variety. So here's another thing. The weapons are going to be confined to their era. You're not going to see them outside of that era. The only thing that we saw in this pre-alpha was Han Solo, Boba Fett, and Rey outside of their era. Darth Maul fit the Clone Wars period. And I'm guessing that is not going to be how it's supposed to be, right? This pre-alpha, I don't think is going to be indicative of the final product come November. I think we are going to see heroes fit their specific era, right? So I'm trying to think who would be good ones. You know, because let's see, if they're like, you could do a Jango Fett skin, but someone pointed out, but then people would just say, hey, Jango Fett died before the Clone Wars. Technically, he died right at the beginning of them, right? You know, on the Battle of Geonosis. He was technically there for it. I mean, the Battle of Geonosis was a huge battle in the Clone Wars period, was it not? So, heroes, everybody was pointing out that heroes are a lot weaker, and that's true. And I think it's what they're doing right there is attempting to address the issue that people had of how random heroes could be. So here's the thing. If there's only 2 heroes in a map, on each, well, 2 heroes per side, in each map, and there's 20 versus 20, people are going to want that experience of being a Jedi, or rather being a hero, Jedi or otherwise, like the Boba Fett's and the Han Solos, right? And so I think the issue with that is that in the old system, it was just random. And in the new system, if heroes can survive very long, then it's pretty much the first person to 2,000 points, at least if the pre-alpha footage that we saw on the E3 stream, or EA Play stream, rather, is going to be any indication of how the system is supposed to work. Basically, I could sit as Boba Fett and just last the whole round, or I could be Darth Maul and get wilted away immediately just by you know, terrible tactics and choices, right? But then there's some players that would just rock that, so then only 2 people out of the 20 would get that experience per round of being the heroes, and maybe that is the better system. But then there's going to be certain players that will almost always have that opportunity. You know, that's just facts. Some people are excellent at games and almost always at the top of the board, and then others not so much, and then the vast majority of us somewhere in the middle, right? So then some people would theoretically never get to play heroes. But by having them weak, I guess the idea is that, you know, you would get to everybody, or more people would have the opportunity of playing as a hero. My issue with that is when I get to be Darth Maul, or, you know, someone like that, you want to feel powerful. And if you could get wilted away, you can get destroyed and taken out of the game almost immediately, it cheapens the experience, and that almost breaks the immersion. If you're feeling like I'm Darth Maul, I'm a powerful Sith warrior, right? And then boom, you're dead. That would suck. And it does suck, and it did suck when it happened to me in the game, right? When my first battle of the day, my first time ever actually playing, well, my first time playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 in California, and I got Darth Maul, and I got destroyed right away. I didn't know how to use him, you know, and then it was tough to get back because I'm playing with people who play, you know, these combat games and third and first person shooters all day long. So it was hard to get back to that moment where I got to be Darth Maul again. You know, for those reasons. So there's definitely pros and cons of this new system, and there were pros and cons of the old system. So I think more people will be a fan of the new one, but there's definitely going to be some things that are going to have to be addressed and patched over time to kind of find that sweet spot. But so my thought, this is just my personal thoughts and personal theory, is I think that when you're making a game, you know, this is me trying to conceptualize game development, which is something I would like to get into at some point in my career, hopefully sooner rather than later. But the first thing is that, you know, when you want to make a game, there's certain things there's just limitations that you have to, you know, deal with. And DICE is really going hard in the paint when it comes time to making the game look good and sound good, and they're making serious progress. I mean, when you compare the first one to this one currently from experience in how it plays good, right? So then there's certain things like I want Galactic Conquest, and people, like, I think the two biggest things are people want Galactic Conquest, and they want to either this is kind of 2 parts, but we'll sum it up into one, is to go from, you know, space to you know, a planetary, in orbit. Basically going from space onto the planet, right? You want to have that experience. And then the second one is basically being able to fly and land a shuttle of troops inside of an enemy capital ship and fight in and around the ship, which is, you know, some fun close quarters combat. And I'm wondering if DICE just isn't able to do it now, given like the production cycle and all the other things they have to do, or if they're just saving it. I wonder that sometimes with game developers, specifically big companies that put out multiple games and have 2-year production cycles, like a game like a you know, EA Games, right? I'm wondering, oh, we got a lot more in this one than we did in the first one, but there's still some things missing. It does keep us wanting to come back for more. And I guess from a business standpoint, that's pretty sound business. If you can give people enough of a product that they want so that they are satisfied or entertained or feel like that their purchase is worth it, and then give them more to look forward to, and then You know, because I think, I mean, there's going to be another Star Wars Battlefront. I think it's safe to say. With Disney pumping out a movie every year and EA Games having exclusive rights to Star Wars games in HD, aka not mobile, for what, a 10-year thing, there will be more Star Wars Battlefronts. And what's interesting, and that was another thing I was genuinely disappointed about with this EA Play, just because being a big fan and wanting to see it and being curious, is we didn't get to see what the other Star Wars title was that was teased a year ago. We don't know what it's gonna be yet. And that's another thing. This is my theory. This is just like some crackpot theory stuff. You know, aluminum foil hat stuff is like, I wonder if they're making the Starfighter combat a little more arcadey than I personally would like. But honestly, there's so many people at this event that are like, oh man, it is so fun. This is so fun. I really like it. It's so good. Like, and I'm like, well, what about this? I'm like, well, I like how easily and accessible it is. And I'm like, man, I need more. I want more, right? But where was I going with that? They were saying that, you know, they liked it and I want more. But I wonder if EA just has, you know, the idea of like, hey, maybe we're gonna make an X-Wing game or a TIE Fighter game. I think that would be great to come out. You know, and then if you can't give them everything if you want to get them something different later, right? Anyway, those are just some of my own theories mixed in with my experiences from playing the game in EA Play. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Star Wars Battlefront 2, are you hyped? I'm pretty hyped. I'll see you guys in the next video. And remember, Sea of Thieves is on the other channel.
Proceed inside the palace for final conquest. Seize designated areas before enemy reinforcements arrive.
No.